You seek allies because you are too weak to bear the weight of your own ambition. Your need for connection is a leash. Cut it or remain a slave. The herd morality trap you are currently suffering from a uniquely modern infection, the belief that your isolation is a pathology. You look at your empty contacts, your silent phone, and the Friday nights spent in the void, and you diagnose yourself as broken. You have internalized the propaganda of the weak. They have taught you that humans are social animals and that no man is an island because they are terrified of the water. Let us perform the first incision. Your loneliness is not a defect. It is a filter. Friedrich Nietzsche identified the fundamental mechanism of society not as cooperation, but as a conspiracy of the average against the exceptional. He called this herd morality. The herd does not gather for greatness, it gathers for warmth. It huddles together because the individual sheep is incapable of facing the wolf or the winter alone. When you seek allies, you are admitting that you are cold. You are signaling that you lack the metabolic fire to survive on your own resources. The myth of strength in numbers is the greatest lie ever sold to the aspiring conqueror. There is no strength in numbers, there is only safety. And safety is the antithesis of power. Look at the dynamics of your so-called alliances. In every group, there is a gravitational pull toward the median. If you are a 9 and you ally with a 5, you do not pull them up, they drag you down. This is the law of social entropy. The group requires consensus, and consensus is always a compromise of vision. By seeking partners, you are voluntarily placing a ceiling on your potential to match the floor of their incompetence. Nietzsche wrote of the superfluous people, the masses who exist only to dilute the human spirit. They are the ones telling you to network. They are the ones preaching the virtues of teamwork. Why? Because they are parasites. They need a host. They need your vitality to subsidize their existence. When you feel the pang of loneliness, it is not a signal to find a friend. It is your instinct screaming that you are surrounded by parasites and you are suffocating. You must shift your optical lens immediately. Stop viewing your lack of allies as a tactical disadvantage. It is an operational necessity. History's apex predators, the Alexanders, the Napoleons, the Caesars, did not have allies. They had instruments, they had subjects. They had levers they pulled to exact their will upon reality, but they did not have equals, and they certainly did not have friends. To rise is to ascend into an atmosphere where the air is too thin for the herd to breathe. If you bring them with you, you will have to carry them, and if you carry them, you will fall. The feeling of isolation you despise is actually the feeling of weightlessness. It is the moment gravity releases its hold. The herd uses shame to keep you tethered. They call you antisocial, arrogant, or distant. These are not insults, they are confirmation codes. They signify that you are drifting out of their reach. You must stop trying to cure your solitude and start weaponizing it. The silence around you is not empty, it is space. Space for strategy. Space for calculation. Space for the formation of a will that is entirely your own, uncorrupted by the validation of lesser men. You are standing at the precipice. The herd is behind you, bleeding for you to come back to the warmth of the slaughterhouse. The void is in front of you. It is cold, dark, and indifferent. Step into it. The pathos of distance. To understand why you fail to rise, you must understand the geometry of power. You operate on a horizontal plane. You scan the horizon for peers, for partners, for validation. You measure your worth by who is standing next to you. This is the geometry of the slave. The geometry of the master is vertical. Nietzsche coined a specific term for the psychological prerequisite of all greatness: pathos der Distanz, the pathos of distance. It is the ingrained, unshakable feeling that there is a gap between you and the rest of the species. It is the instinctual looking down upon. This is not arrogance in the petty, ego-driven sense. It is an architectural reality. The spire does not arrogant toward the foundation, it simply exists above it. You cannot cultivate this pathos while you are busy maintaining alliances. Why? Because the fundamental requirement of friendship is equality. To be close to someone is to lower your guard, to level your eyes, and to synchronize your pace with theirs. Every moment you spend maintaining a horizontal bond is a moment you are not climbing. Consider the physics of ascent. When a rocket leaves the atmosphere, its primary enemy is drag, friction. In the social realm, intimacy is friction. Every ally you keep is a variable you must account for. You have to manage their emotions, anticipate their betrayals, stroke their egos, and wait for their consensus. You are encumbered by the chaotic variables of another human psychology. True power requires speed. It requires the ability to execute a decision the microsecond the will forms. When you have allies, you have a committee. And committees are where bold ideas go to die. You believe you need allies to bounce ideas off of. This is a confession of intellectual cowardice. You are seeking external verification because you do not trust your own internal compass. You are asking permission to be great. The Übermensch, overman, does not ask. He commands reality, and if reality resists, he breaks it. He does not need a sounding board. He needs silence to hear his own instincts. The pathos of distance demands that you construct a wall between your inner world and the outer world. This wall is not for protection, it is for pressurization. Just as an engine requires compression to generate force, your will requires containment to generate power. When you leak your plans, your fears, and your ambitions to an ally, you are depressurizing your own soul. You are letting the steam out of the engine. This is why the elite are unknowable. They are opaque. They do not share. They listen, they observe, they calculate, but they never offer a window into their own machinery. By seeking connection, you are making yourself legible. And if you are legible, you are controllable. An ally knows your weak points. An ally knows where to stick the knife. By maintaining the distance, by refusing to engage in the messy, horizontal swamp of relationships, you become a monolith. You become unpredictable. You must become comfortable with the vertigo of the height. As you sever these horizontal ties, you will feel the ground drop away. Good. The nausea you feel is the sensation of the pathos of distance taking hold. It is the realization that there is no one beside you. There is only the ground below where the herd grazes and the peak above, which is razor thin and fits only one set of footprints. Stop looking left and right. There is nothing there but distraction. Look up. Anatomy of the parasite, we have established that the herd is a trap. Now we must perform a vivisection on the specific biological mechanisms it uses to keep you contained. You likely do not see a herd when you look at your friends. You see faces you trust. You see support systems. Wipe the sentiment from your eyes. What you are looking at is a taxonomy of parasites. These people are not in your life to help you ascend. They are the immune response of the collective. Their biological function is to detect any cell that attempts to mutate into something higher and either sedate it or destroy it. You must learn to identify these vectors of infection before they rot you from the inside out. There are three primary archetypes of the ally that you must purge immediately. The comforter, the merchant of pity. This is the most dangerous archetype because they disguise themselves as a healer. When you fail, they are the first to arrive. They say, "It's okay, you tried your best," or "maybe it wasn't meant to be." They offer you the warm bath of victimization. Nietzsche despised pity above all else. He called it a multiplication of misery. When the comforter validates your pain, they are not healing you. They are effectively castrating your will to fight. They are teaching you to enjoy the taste of your own wounds. They need you to be broken because your brokenness validates their own mediocrity. If you can fail and be okay, then they can remain stagnant and be okay. Do not drink their poison. The skeptic, the anchor, this ally masks their envy as realism. When you voice an ambition, they do not attack it directly. They ask concerned questions. Have you thought about the risks? Is that realistic in this economy? I just don't want to see you get hurt. Understand this. They are not protecting you. They are projecting their own cowardice onto your canvas. Every limit they point out is a bar of their own cage. If you succeed, their entire worldview, that greatness is impossible and safety is best, collapses. They need you to stay small so they do not have to face the vastness of their own wasted potential. They are anchors. Cut the chain. The flatterer, the mirror of vanity, this parasite feeds on your ego. They agree with everything you say. They laugh at all your jokes. They treat you like a king before you have built a kingdom. This feels like loyalty, but it is actually sedation. The flatterer builds a distortion field around you. They prevent you from seeing the sharp edges of reality that are necessary to cut and shape your character. If you are surrounded by people who nod, you will never see the fist coming that knocks you out. The flatterer is usually a weakling seeking a protector, hiding behind your shadow while simultaneously dulling your senses. The diagnosis: look at the people in your phone. Categorize them. Does this person sharpen me or do they dull me? Do they offer resistance that strengthens or friction that wears me down? You will find that 99% of your allies fall into one of the categories above. They are time thieves. They are energy sinks. They are subconsciously conspiring to keep you at their level. You cannot negotiate with a parasite. You cannot fix them. You cannot inspire them. The only surgical solution is excision. You must create a vacuum around yourself. Only in that vacuum can you hear the truth. The next time the comforter tries to pity you, reject it with silence. The next time the skeptic offers realism, look through them as if they are glass. The next time the flatterer nods, realize you are talking to a reflection, not a man. Clear the room. The terror of the vacuum, you have severed the ties. You have silenced the comforters and exiled the skeptics. Now you face the immediate consequence of your surgery, the silence. This is the point of failure for 99% of men. You will feel a sensation akin to physical asphyxiation. You will check your phone and the screen will be black. You will speak and there will be no echo. This is the terror of the vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the weak human psyche. You are biologically wired to seek signal, to seek validation, to seek the reassurance of another heartbeat nearby. When that signal flatlines, your brain interprets it as death. You will feel a desperate, clawing urge to reach out, to send a text, to scroll through a feed, to find some noise to drown out the ringing in your ears. Why? What are you actually afraid of? You are not afraid of being alone. You are afraid of the stranger who appears when the distractions vanish, yourself. Nietzsche warned of this confrontation. He spoke of the abyss. When you gaze long into it, it gazes back. Most men are terrified of that gaze because it reflects their own hollowness. You fill your life with allies and friends and social obligations to avoid meeting your own eyes. You use other people as noise-canceling headphones to block out the screaming of your own mediocrity. When the noise stops, the truth starts, and the truth is usually ugly. In the vacuum, you cannot hide from your failures. There is no one to blame. There is no one to distract you with gossip or petty drama. There is only you and the raw data of your existence. You realize how much time you have wasted. You realize how weak your will actually is. You realize that without the external validation of the herd, you feel like a ghost. This terror is necessary. It is the fire that cauterizes the wound. Look at the history of every sovereign power. Without exception, there is a period of the wilderness. The prophets went into the desert. The exiled generals sat in solitary confinement. The founders locked themselves in garages for years. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is a structural requirement. The wilderness is where the social self dies and the sovereign self is born. You cannot forge a sword in a room full of pillows. You need the heat of the furnace, and the furnace is solitary. During this phase, you are undergoing a detoxification. You are sweating out the addiction to approval. It is painful. It is disorienting. You will question your sanity. The herd will look happy from a distance, grazing in their ignorance, and you will be tempted to return to the pasture. Do not move. Sit in the chair. Stare at the wall. Let the silence crush you until you become hard enough to withstand the pressure. If you run from the vacuum now, you are finished. You will be a slave forever. You will spend the rest of your life begging for scraps of attention, terrified of the quiet moments between conversations. You will be a hollow vessel, echoing the thoughts of others because you were too cowardly to generate your own. But if you stay, if you endure the nausea, the boredom, and the terror, something shifts. The panic subsides. The noise in your head organizes itself into a frequency. You stop looking for a reflection in others because you have become solid. You are no longer an echo. You are the source. The vacuum is not empty, my friend. It is only empty of them. It is full of potential energy. It is the blank canvas upon which you will paint your will without a single hand grabbing your wrist to steady it. Embrace the horror. It is the only thing that is real. Weaponizing AMORFATI, you have endured the silence. You have stopped twitching for your phone. You have stared into the vacuum and the nausea has passed. Now we execute the shift. We stop treating your isolation as a burden to be carried and start treating it as a weapon to be wielded. Nietzsche gave us the ultimate formula for greatness: amor fati, love of fate, not acceptance of fate, not tolerating fate, loving it. You are alone, good, do not just accept it, crave it. Because in the realm of high-level strategy, solitude is not an emotional state. It is a tactical superiority. While your competitors are wasting 40% of their bandwidth managing the egos of their partners, you are operating at 100% efficiency. While they are leaking their plans in a desperate bid for validation, you are a black hole of information. Let us break down the specific operational advantages of the Zero Ally Doctrine. 1. Total information sovereignty. OPSEC, the greatest threat to any plan is a leak, and the source of every leak is a human mouth. Machiavelli warned that he who confides in another man gives that man the power to destroy him. When you have allies, you have liabilities. You have potential defectors. You have people who, in a moment of weakness or envy, can trade your secrets for their own gain. By having no allies, you achieve perfect operational security. Your left hand does not know what your right hand is doing. Your plans exist only in the fortress of your own mind. You become a cipher. Your enemies cannot sabotage you because they do not know where you are going until you have already arrived. To asymmetric velocity, the herd moves at the speed of its slowest member. Collaboration is friction. Every decision in a group requires consensus, debate, and compromise. You, the sovereign operator, move at the speed of thought. You see an opportunity and you strike. There is no meeting. There is no running it by the team. There is only the impulse and the action. In a world of bloated, slow-moving committees, the man who can pivot instantly is lethal. You can change direction while they are still scheduling the conference call. You are a guerrilla fighter engaging a standing army. They have numbers, you have speed. And speed kills. 3. The mystique of the void. Humans fear what they cannot understand. When you are constantly surrounded by others, you are mundane. You are explainable. You are one of the guys. When you stand alone, you become an anomaly. People will project their own fears onto your silence. They will wonder what you are thinking. They will wonder what you are building. Because you offer them no data, their imaginations will fill in the blanks, usually attributing more power and intelligence to you than you actually possess. You become a Rorschach test for their insecurities. By refusing to signal your intentions, you occupy a psychological high ground. You are the predator in the tall grass. They know you are there, but they cannot see you, and that terror makes them clumsy. This is amor fati in practice. You look at your empty room and you do not see loneliness. You see a command center. You see a sterile environment free of contamination. Stop looking for a co-pilot. The seat is empty for a reason. It is empty to reduce weight. It is empty to ensure that when the G-force hits, there is no one beside you to panic and grab the controls. You are not missing out on camaraderie. You are bypassing the inefficiency of human weakness. You have traded comfort for control. You have traded warmth for precision. This is the trade of kings. Identity, death, and replacement. We have reached the operating table. The previous chapters were preparation. Now we pick up the scalpel. You believe you have a personality. You believe you have an identity. You are wrong. What you have is a collection of defense mechanisms, social reflexes, and inherited behaviors that you have stitched together to survive in the herd. You call it me. Nietzsche calls it a prison. This construct, the social self, was designed for one purpose: to be liked, to be safe, to fit in. It scans the room, reads the temperature, and adjusts its shape to match the container. It is a liquid identity, shapeless and pathetic. It cannot rise because it has no spine. It relies on the external structure of the group to hold it upright. To rise with no allies, you must kill this version of yourself. This is not a metaphor for self-improvement. This is not about becoming a better version of you. This is an execution. You must identify the parts of your psyche that crave validation and excise them like necrotic tissue. The process of excision, the first thing to go, is the reflex of explanation. Watch yourself in conversation. Watch how quickly you justify your actions. I did this because I thought that. You are begging for permission. You are asking the other person to stamp your papers and say, "You are valid." Stop it. The sovereign entity does not explain. He acts. His actions are self-evident. If they are misunderstood, good. Misunderstanding breeds fear, and fear breeds respect. When you kill the reflex of explanation, you reclaim the energy you were hemorrhaging into the void of other people's opinions. The second thing to go is the craving for mirroring. You look at your friends to see yourself reflected in their eyes. You want them to nod when you speak. You want them to laugh when you joke. You are using them as a mirror to prove you exist. Shatter the mirror. You must learn to exist without a reflection. You must become a black hole that absorbs light but reflects nothing back. This is the identity death. It is the terrifying realization that you are no longer defined by your relationships. You are defined only by your will. The replacement, the sovereign self, what fills the vacuum left by the social self. Iron, the sovereign self, is not liked. It is felt. It has mass. It generates its own gravity. It does not need allies because it is complete unto itself. The social self asks, "Is this acceptable?" The sovereign self asks, "Is this effective?" This transition is violent. You will feel a phantom limb pain where your friends used to be. You will feel the urge to reach out and touch the herd just to make sure you are still real. Do not. Let the old self die screaming. Let it starve in the silence you have created. When the process is complete, you will be unrecognizable to your former peers. They will say you have changed. They will say you have become cold. They will say you are hard to read. Take these as the highest compliments. It means the soft tissue has been burned away. It means the camouflage has been stripped. You are no longer a sheep in wolf's clothing. You are no longer a wolf in sheep's clothing. You are the weather. You are the terrain. You are a force of nature that simply is without apology, without explanation, and without the need for a witness. The social self seeks a witness to its life. The sovereign self is the witness. The surgery is complete. The patient is dead. Long live the king. The vertigo of sovereignty, this is the final warning. You have listened to the protocol. You have understood the mechanics of the herd, the necessity of distance, and the surgery of the self. You feel a surge of motivation. You feel the thrill of the lone wolf aesthetic. Kill that feeling immediately. What I have described to you is not a lifestyle choice. It is not a Sigma male grind set. It is a sentence. To rise with no allies is to accept a crushing, permanent weight. Nietzsche called it the greatest weight. It is the burden of absolute responsibility. When you have no allies, you have no scapegoats. You have no one to blame when the market crashes, when the strategy fails, or when the night is long and the silence is loud. There is a reason the herd huddles together. The air at the summit is thin. It is hypoxic. It makes the average mind hallucinate. This is the vertigo of sovereignty. Most of you who have made it this far are tourists. You are visiting the idea of power because it excites your ego. But you will not stay. As soon as the first wave of true isolation hits, the first Friday night where the phone does not ring, the first crisis you must solve without a committee, you will scramble back down the mountain. You will beg for the warmth of the slaughterhouse. You will apologize to the parasites and reattach the leashes you just cut. And you should. The herd exists for a reason. It protects the weak from the reality of the food chain. If you are weak, go back. There is no shame in being prey. There is only shame in pretending to be a predator. But if you felt a cold clarity while listening to this, if the silence I described did not frighten you but sounded like home, then you are the reason this signal was broadcast. You are now standing at the edge of the human experience. Behind you is the noise, the comfort, and the slow, warm death of the collective. Ahead of you is the cold, sharp, terrifying peak of the individual will. You have two choices. Close this video. Go text a friend. Go find a community. Go back to sleep. Step off the ledge. I do not ask for likes. I do not ask for engagement. Those are metrics for the insecure. I demand selection. If you are ready to breathe the thin air, if you are ready to carry the weight of your own existence without a single hand to help you, Then you know what to do. Subscribe, not for entertainment, not for comfort. Subscribe for orders. Stand alone.